We interrupt this episode of Avoiding Babylon to bring you the following public service announcement.
Are you doing all you can to stop shaken baby syndrome? If you prevent one incident, you help save a life. With our Shaken Baby Simulator, you'll be able to demonstrate and humanize the brutality of shaken baby syndrome. When the baby's turned on, the baby will start crying. You, as the demonstrator,
literally
will ruthlessly shake the baby. Areas of the brain will light up, showing which senses and parts.
I can't, Taffy. I can't watch a shaking baby video, Taffy. First off, I know you guys saw like a still screen. What happened was Rob and I had a blowout this morning, and I'm doing tryouts to see who his replacement's going to be. So I had to get Majari in at the last minute just because I couldn't get anybody else. And my tech all started messing up because I'm not very good at the tech end. So I need a young guy so he can help me with the tech. So Rob is out. And Majarian, you're the first contestant. I'm going to give out a golden ticket like Willy Wonka. I'm going to give golden tickets out to anyone who couldn't possibly fill Rob's shoes. So you're getting
candy to young guys. A little sus. Little sus.
Yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Before we do that, you want to know what actually happened with Rob? Rob woke up this morning and his kid, his younger son, who's still wearing pull-ups at night, got of like a violent flu and crapped his pull-up, but so bad that it like went all over the bed, and he was like, he rolled around in it. He's like completely covered in it, right? And all I wanted to ask him was, were you co-sleeping?
Yeah, that's why you don't co-sleep.
You know, if he was, it was all over his bed with him and home.
That's the answer to the co-sleeping question.
There you go, guys. You wanted to know if you should or shouldn't co-sleep. So before we get into this diabolical topic tonight, I would like everybody to go check out Recusant Cellars. When Rob's
I have an ad read if you want.
Like a real one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's hear it.
I come prepared. All right.
Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear Majarian's Recusant Cellars ad read.
This episode was brought to you by Recusant Cellars, the only winery that's not for girl dinner, but for guys who drink wine like it's pre-workout and yell Latin prayers during sets of deadlifts. It isn't that soy-friendly, I taste hints of raspberry and regret garbage. This is the wine for men who dry screw creatine, read Nietzsche, and do Romanian deadlifts for spiritual growth. Each bottle of Recusant is aged in barrels made from the crushed dreams of bugmen. It tastes like red meat, civilizational collapse, and the ghost of your pagan ancestors nodding in approval. Do you think the Trend twins drink that dollar store wine with the squirrel on the label? No. They be chugging Recusant Cellars post-leg day, shirtless, screaming, lightweight, baby, while debating the metaphysical consequences of universal suffrage. This wine's not a beverage. It's a sacrament of domination. I don't know the code, but you can plug the code.
The code is based. Go to recusantsellers.com. You use code BASE for 10% off. We are going to try and get them to bump it up to 20% for Father's Day. But if you have a gift idea for somebody, this is the perfect place to get it. Yeah, man, Recusant is awesome. It is important that we support Catholic businesses, and I'm just glad we got to this ad read early on in the episode because it usually haunts me throughout the episode. But yeah, okay, so subject at hand. Okay, ooh, this is a rough one. So let's see. Let me actually pull up. So this all started as like Protestant Catholic drama, right? Like this started with the fake Lizzie account.
And that's where it all started.
This guy, a trad Catholic. Now the Protestant parody Lizzie account was telling everybody he was a 14-year-old girl and he was the daughter of a trad Catholic. And it ended up that one of the Protestants did a deep dive to go and find out who this guy was. Now, here's the thing. This guy watches our show. I'm sure he's watching right now. Like, I'm almost positive he's watching right now. dude, this is a rough topic because I understand people's need. No, they are not the same account, by the way. So a lot of people are
They're
suspecting
different
that
people.
totally different people. But it is a rough subject because I understand why people want to be anonymous on the internet. And it's not just because you'll lose your job. It's like, yeah, you have like the temptation there to be a little more fiery, and you don't have to worry so much. The stuff will get back to your regular life. It's also because people in your real life can't discover that you're there.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So you have like it's like both a mask and like a mirror of your actual self. It's you get rid of the consequences and your status, and it's really like who you are is what you're posting at 2 a.m. on your burner. Like that's what you really think deep down, but you're afraid to say. And it gives and it takes because it gets rid of that aspect of shame. And as Catholics, we kind of believe shame is a good thing sometimes, and shame restrains sin. But I have been an anonymous poster for like for like a very long time, and I still don't put my name out there. I'm not against anonymity at all. It's just it's a weird situation for sure.
I understand it. Like I get it. The thing is, when you do have your real name, and I'm not saying put your first and last name and the state you live in, like you don't have to dox yourself, but having your real picture up, you'd be surprised at how much more thoughtful you will be when you interact with another human being, because it's very easy to forget you're talking to a human behind the other account, especially when they're all anime freaking things and like it's
inanimate objects.
So, but I've had parody accounts, right? Like I had the Lofton parody account, Rap and Theology. Now, I was very tempted to go and just be like, talk like a total thugged out rapper under that moniker. But there were people who actually did think it was Lofton. So I never wanted him, like I never wanted to slander him in any way or make people think the real Lofton would say something like that. So I think I wrote a tweet one time saying, like, as the greatest rapper of all time, the greatest Catholic rapper of all time, I think I should get to use the N-word. And by N-word, I mean nuance. And then I would just start calling people my nuance. But I never said the real N-word. I did use the real N-word under my real account.
You did. I remember that. Iconic. Yeah, I think, yeah. No, it's crazy.
But that's kind of the point, right? Like, so there's a delicate art to parody, and but a Tried Catholic wasn't a parody account. Pope Lizzie was a parody account, right?
Yeah.
And there were times where that account would even say some pretty horrific things to the real Lizzie, because Lizzie is atrocious. She's an atrocious human being.
She should be blocked by everybody.
Yes.
She's not worth engaging with. She's intellectually dishonest. Don't waste your time. But at the same time, some of the things they said, like, I would not feel comfortable saying to someone, you would have to go to confession for that kind of stuff. I'm just probably.
And now I know who's behind that Pope Lizzie account, and I've talked to him a little bit. So it's like now the person in question, a Tried Catholic, there was this thread that was made. We're going to bring it up now. All right, let's bring this up. So, okay, we have to go back to the beginning of the thread. Okay. Who is a Tried Catholic? Exposing the lies out of love and hope for change. For some people, like myself, X is a place of rigorous theological debate. Nonsense. So, who is a Tried Catholic? He would like you to believe he's a wise elder who has spent many years in church. In one post, it claims to be 73 years old. And he says, in others, he said new converts to Catholicism should wait 16 years before speaking. None of this is bad, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, this is just...
It's definitely sarcastic.
Sarcasm, goofing around.
The Protestants are like, oh, it's serious, because, they read Sola Scriptura and they're like, oh, everything is literal.
It's just goofing around on the internet.
Yeah.
You're not putting your real profile out there. It's, As any man knows on the internet, it is beneficial to present yourself as tough and able to fight, and what can accomplish that than jujitsu. So he winds up going through this whole thing, and I'm not going to read every one of these, but he goes through and digs. He finds who the guy is through like who the account was originally registered to through that email, and that email was connected to an Instagram account, and that Instagram account had a picture on it, and he went from where that picture was back to a Facebook picture, a Facebook page, and he winds up finding out who the guy is. And it turns out the guy has a very colorful incident in his past. So now he had a 34-year-old from Polk, Florida, was arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse. Now, when I first read that, I wasn't sure what that meant.
Yeah.
And
aggravated child, that's a kind of a weird charge.
My
Florida
first
man, by the way.
question, what was that?
Florida man, by the way, of course.
Yeah, I look, there's clearly he's dealing with a divorce. He has an ex-wife now, right? So further update to this post, he's out on bond for $100K. He's lost his rights, parental rights, the ability to be around any person under 18. And his ex-wife was awarded a restraining order against him. So this happened to him. Now, the first thing I want to say is this is not sexual in nature in any way. Okay.
No.
Like that has to be that's a very important point. And not to like, I think any man that hits a child is a piece of garbage. Like I'm
Same.
not, and people are saying, okay, like he broke the ribs of a 3-year-old. Like,
Yeah, that's disgusting.
it's very bad, like disgusting, horrible. Now, I don't know when this incident happened. I want to try to be fair here, right? Like it's like, because for all that Protestants taught, like for them especially to go at him like this, you know, did you give your life to Jesus and then all your past, like these are the same people that support Nala giving a conference.
Yeah, I mean that's ridiculous. It's, you know, in a sense, obviously what he did is absolutely terrible. But
Horrific.
also what they did to dox him, also not okay. Like it's good that we know that, you know, this guy, you know, did that to a child. Like it's great that we know, but the ends don't justify the means. Doxing is never okay. It doesn't matter who you're doing it to,
especially because what he was doing publicly was not that bad. Like he was just like trolling prots.
Yeah,
he wasn't, you know what I mean? So like, here's my point. It's not, look, I think this guy's got a lot that he has to deal with. I think he's got a lot to deal with. He's got, but if he did have a conversion and he's seeking Catholicism now, like, I don't know what the line is there. I do know that I know other people who have had incidents in their past. I mean, it wasn't like this. This is, you know what it is? It's a 3-year-old. Like, I don't know how any man can do that.
No.
But I do know other people who have had like bad incidents in their past and they've made amends and they fixed their life up and stuff. It's like, I want to give leeway for a person to make right. I think the biggest problem with this was he lied about it when he was confronted on it. And there was also some stuff behind the scenes in DMs. I heard that he was like trying to get girls to share their profile pic and stuff. So I don't know all the details, but the main conversation we really want to talk about is just what we're doing with anonymity here. Like there's a point to it. It's that serves a good purpose for a lot of people. I understand people have jobs where they can't, you know, have certain conversations and have that get back there. You want to be able to be Catholic. Maybe you have family members that aren't Catholic and you might have opinions about non-Catholics that would alienate you from your family. I understand that. But I do think there's a bit of responsibility that comes with putting your face and at least your first name up there. Now you're anonymous. Would you be ashamed of anything that got found out on your account if somebody did actually find out who you are?
I think if people just dox me, they just find out how awesome I am. Like, I'm not really like worried, to be honest. Like there maybe some things could come and like kind of bite me in the butt with my job, but like it probably won't be that bad. I've been a little bit cognizant of what I've been posting. I think the main message is, you know, and this is how I always approach my account, is like I could get doxxed someday. So I need to think when I post, not post the most insane stuff. You can save that for DMs with friends that you trust. But even then, like people you meet online, you might not be able to trust. But anonymity, I can't say that word, doesn't absolve you of responsibility, and he didn't just end up wrong. He got exposed. And that's because that kind of made him feel like he's has an illusion that his words are free from weight. And being nameless doesn't make you bodiless. It just makes your sins feel like they are separate from you, but it's still you at the end of the
That's
day.
actually
God still knows it's you.
That's a really good point, right? Like you think, because it's, man, this is a really tricky thing we're dealing with our online persona and our real persona, because you may think that person that is representing you on the internet is not you, but it is, in a way. Like, it really is. And I'm not, I'm pretty outlandish online, but I'm kind of that way in real life too. Like, I'm not much different in real life. So that separation, man, it's
I think there's a benefit to having that mask. Like, I can say things here that I wouldn't necessarily say at work, and I have a little bit more freedom to be honest with who I am and what I actually think, but I'm not able to say to people around me. But I think people also need to balance that with, would I say this to that person's face if they were right next to me? Or would you say that to God?
Yeah.
Like, God is still judging you based on what you post online, whether you're anonymous or not. That's just the truth. And like, I'm still in favor of being, I'm pretty much anonymous. I'm still in favor of that, but you just got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think people have to have the expectation that they could get doxxed one day, right? So yeah, no, I agree. I think anonymity online is reasonable. I understand why people do it. Like, I'm not doing the Jordan Peterson thing where it's you're all psychopaths. I don't think that. Like, I think there's justifiable reasons to want to not put your name and face up there. It's like, there's creeps on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, with your face and your first name alone, people could find out where you live and things like that. So and yes, Molly, I know you tone it down, because I actually have watched I've watched you in the, like, a few, I think a lot of us changed how we handled social media. I mean, this even gets into when we discussed what people were doing to what's her name? What's the your favorite chick? What's her name?
Religious hippie.
It's like, I'm not a fan of hers at all. I think what she does is ridiculous. Terrible. But I think there was a line there where people were like going after her husband, and it's like, yo, we're Catholic. You don't want to be the guy that is like trying to break up a sacramental marriage. Like, that's insane. No. You will have to give an account for that one day.
No. Yeah. No, you can definitely take it too far. I think some of the public figures deserve, especially her, deserve criticism for what they do. But you have to remember, you have to make your criticism. Oh, Dolan's here. I love Dolan. You have to make your criticism righteous. You can't just be trying to break up a marriage just for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's man. I've seen some pretty crazy things, and like I said, I've had, like, right now I have Trentonius Horn. That's my alt, you know what I mean? It's like, great, but alt, like I said, like, I'm not ever gonna post something there that's gonna slander Trent or make somebody think it's really Trent posting it. I'm not going to, I actually think it's kind of interesting that there's a Bree Solstad alt parody. There's there's a lot of alt. There's no alt of me. I think there's one alt of me, but I think it might be Rob.
I feel like you're incapable of parody just because that's just who you are. You're just a New York Italian. Like, it's just
kind of am parody. Yeah, I would just say my advice to people who do have anonymous accounts, I would just say always have the expectation that you could be doxxed one day. And if doxxed, that's the other thing. Like, I keep getting added to these group chats. And I keep leaving them because I don't know there's 160 people in that group chat, and people are throwing some like wild things in them.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And
get
it's like,
crazy.
well, it goes into what I said about like I said the N-word on Twitter, but I said it like for a purpose. Like it was right around the time with that Shiloh, what was her name? That Shiloh chick. She said the N-word to the kid.
Oh yeah.
And like there was that big friend, she raised $600,000. And I was basically just saying most white people have used that word at some point in their life. Like whether you're singing along to a rap song or like, it's like to pretend that word has never left your mouth, even reading a book that might have had it when you were in school, you know, it's
Tom
like,
Sawyer, Huck
yeah,
Finn.
there you go. So to act like that word is like this powerful word that can't be said. It's like, you know, I think people do say it, but I think there's something different about saying it behind anonymity and saying it as you know. So I was saying it to kind of make a political point. Like I was like, I am going to put this word out there as a public figure and not worry about the consequences. First off, I don't know what the consequence, like, because a few people were like, dude, I can't believe you said it. I was like, what could the consequences be?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I work for family. I work for family that uses that word. It's like, I grew up in an Italian home. Like, what's gonna happen? You know? Yeah, I've never said it out loud. You've all said it in your head in traffic at one point, though.
And God still knows.
And God still knows. And I do think context matters. That's the whole point, right? It's like, I think if you're saying it to someone for horrific reasons, yes, like that it could very much be a mortal sin. Shiloh Hendricks was the name. But if you're just like I said, like I grew up like a wigger on Long Island. Like me and my friends called each other that. Like that was like, we'd be like, yo, what up? You know, and we just said it. So all right, so we're gonna move on from this topic. I would just say all of you that are anonymous, I think you guys just be cautious because like Majorian said, like God still sees what we're saying there. So if it's not something you'd be comfortable saying as your real self, something to think about.
For sure.
Did you see the deaf priest video?
I did see that. That's kind of an interesting question.
Okay. So this is a deaf priest.
Na véspera de sua paixão, ele tomou o pão em suas santas e veneráveis mãos. Elevou os olhos ao céu, a vós, ó Pai Todo-Poderoso, pronunciou a bênção de ação de graças, partiu o pão e o deu a seus discípulos, dizendo: tomai todos e comei, isto é meu corpo que será entregue por vós.
Okay, so I want to know. So I reached out to a couple of priests about this to ask them, like, is this a valid consecration? And I'm gonna hang on. Let me just see, where is it? Okay,
It is in Noah's order, probably.
So the words the concelebrant says in Portuguese are valid. Obviously, the words the celebrant says are not. And I say this having a totally deaf niece. So the question becomes, can a concelebrant affect the sacrifice when the celebrant fails? It's a brand new theological problem that never existed before the Novus Ordo. So I don't know, was the answer I got.
I love Brazil for giving us all theological problems. Seems like everything good comes from Brazil these days.
I just think if you have a concelebrant there who's and it's not being deaf that's the issue, it's being mute, right? And the priest is, I guess he could say, "This is my body, which was given up for you," and then hold the host up, which it looks like he did. But I don't see how you could sign that and at the simultaneously consecrate. Like I don't know. Like, I don't understand, like, the intentional cause of scandal by not have, like, you could have just had the guy that concelebrated actually celebrate. You could have had the deaf priest concelebrate, and it would have been a totally fine situation.
Yeah, I just have so many questions. I question, you know, I have a cousin who's deaf. I just question having a deaf priest in general. That just prudentially doesn't seem wise to me. But like if they're assisting in mass, that seems fine. But like you don't have to, have them consecrate if that's going to be some kind of theological question. I mean, this is something that we just need someone higher up to just tell
So,
if it's good or not, because I really
well,
don't know.
Father Schneider, right? Father Matthew Schneider, I think his name is. Let me find his thing real quick.
Yeah, exactly. How does he hear confessions? That's like, like, do they
Now-
sign it to him? Like, I
Well,
guess.
if he's serving a deaf parish, I guess that's how it would have to go, right? Like if he's serving
Yeah.
at a deaf parish. Let me see. Why can't I find this? Okay, here it is. Okay, so Father Matthew Schneider said, can people stop claiming this is invalid? All available evidence points towards the priest signing mass to be valid, such as a 1966 decree ordaining deaf priests since 1977, etc. And then he posts an EWTN article. And in the EWTN article, I bring it up. I read it. And it says, however, it does not answer our reader's precise question regarding validity. And although there have been some good theological reflections on this topic and some serious canonical studies, I have been unable to find a definitive official declaration that would close the debate.
Well,
in the article Father Schneider posted. So I'm
isn't
like,
that just peak Twitter apologetics? They post an article and they don't read it. They just read the headline.
He just read the headline, did not read the text. And that's you actually can't do that, right? Like that, you can't do a FaceTime confession.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something very important about sacramentality being in person, face to face, and or behind a screen. But like the priest has to be present as he absolves you of your sin, and it can't go through a text or something like that. It's now I do remember seeing like I think it was the movie on Father Malachi, what's his name? Father Malachi of Hawaii or something. He had to give a confession and he had leprosy, and he comes out on a boat and there's a bishop out on the ship and there's like 50 people around. And he's like, the priest doesn't want to come in contact with him because he has leprosy. So he goes, just say your sins in a different language. Like he spoke French or something. And he goes, just say your sins in French. And he just blurts his sins out in French. Now the bishop didn't actually understand French, but he was able to absolve him still. Like there's almost something about the priest not actually having to hear your sins. It's more just you verbalizing them and receiving confession. I don't know how valid that is either, though.
Like, I mean, you sure he wasn't saying Hawaiian pigeon?
St. Damien of Molokai, that's what it was. Not Father Malachi. St. Damien of Molokai. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, only pigeon confessions would be valid in that circumstance.
Great that the priest give him absolution.
I think Lefebvre talks about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of a strange theological question because you kind of think about like, is it more so about the intention behind the priest, or is it the words being spoken, like, or actually speaking the words? And is it speaking, or are symbols okay? Like sign language is almost different from any other language because it's not coming from your larynx, it's coming from your hands. So it feels like it's different in kind, but like, I don't know. I'm not a theologian.
I would think the priest saying it verbally is very important. Like I said, he could be deaf, but he can't be mute. Like the verbalizing of the consecration has to be extremely important.
It's like an alphabet almost. Sign language is like an alphabet more so than it is like a language, because I mean, like the symbols represent words, but it's like text almost more so than you actually speaking it. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know the philosophical metaphysics of language, but that's just what it seems like to me.
So, assuming a valid right, the celebrant must be able to hear himself pronounce the words. Temporary difficulty to hear because of a passing train, for instance, would not cause invalidity. That's true too.
Yeah, I have no idea.
How would you know if the person has
True contrition, yeah.
True contrition and a firm purpose of amendment?
Yeah.
Man, that's a tricky one.
We need an encyclical
you need something from Pope Leo.
on
I don't know.
sleeping and deaf people. That's the encyclical.
That would be good, actually. To me, it's just another one of those problems caused by the Novus Ordo that doesn't exist outside of it. And it's like, I don't understand if you have a concelebrant there who's perfectly able to speak the words of consecration, why would you even take the chance? Like, we had that whole incident happen. I think I forgot what diocese it was, but the priest, he had said, we baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or Holy Spirit. And it invalidated thousands and thousands of baptisms. There was a priest who saw his baptismal video and he brought it to his bishop and he goes, look, I was baptized incorrectly. It invalidated his priesthood. They had to put an announcement out to the entire diocese saying, if you have ever gone to confession through this priest, if you were married by this priest, your marriage is invalid. Like, can you imagine? Like,
that's crazy.
Like, you think about the fiasco that was caused after them playing around with the liturgy. It's just insane. Why
even risk it?
That's what I mean.
Like it like it's ridiculous. This can be mean. It seems like it's almost like a DEI priest. And that sounds really bad, but it's
okay.
Why?
So I said crazy. Why didn't I'm going to read you because it's kind of funny you're saying that. So this is me and the priest. I won't say who. Crazy. Why didn't the deaf priest do the celebration instead? Is what I asked him. He says, I've offered the Novus Ordo in Portuguese, so I know the words he said are correct. And he said the reason the concelebrant didn't say the mass is because it's a stunt for inclusivity.
That's what it seems like. Yeah. And not everybody's called to be a priest. I just don't get it.
And he also said, Brazilians don't really care because they don't know, except the trads down there. And there's some really good trads down there. But I bet he's not even a deaf priest. I bet he just learned sign language. Actually, I'll tell you why it's not. He said, I'll tell you why it's not valid. The concelebrant did not touch the bread. The only way it could be valid is by the concelebrant. But it's not, since he didn't take the bread in his hands like the missal, both old and new command, which is what I would think. I would think both missals, like there would have to be like extraordinary circumstances for permission to be given this.
Yeah, I don't see how they could, but I mean, I'm not a theologian, so maybe.
Okay. While those with disabilities are loved by God and can be faithful Catholics, the priesthood is not owed to anyone. Yeah, that's
exactly. Yeah.
There are other things he could do. He could even be a priest, but just not celebrate mass publicly. Maybe I don't know, but yeah. It seems like you said, like a DEI stunt. Instead of worrying more about God, they're worried about
how they look to the world.
Yeah.
And what's the point? Like how many political points are you scoring for having a deaf priest say the mass? Unless it's like a deaf community, then I can get it, I guess. But
all right, so we got two more things we're going to cover on the YouTube side, and then we'll go over to local. So one, we have Apple TV releases a disgraceful scene in Your Friends and Neighbors where a couple breaks into a Catholic church and snacks on a consecrated host. This is one of the most offensive things I have ever seen. Like, it was difficult to sit through.
If you have Apple TV, you should cancel it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is worse than anything Netflix has even done. Yeah. It's like the most blasphemous thing. I can't think of ever being this offended at seeing something. So
it's disgusting.
all right, let me see. Let me pause it first so I don't just jump right into it. All right, let's see. Let's go here. You just give it a and I in the lock into Jesus' house. So they're breaking into a church.
Mhm.
It's always a Catholic church, right? Like they never break into some like Episcopal church or
Never
something.
Eastern
It's
Orthodox
always-
because they're irrelevant.
Yeah, it's always the Catholics.
I'm gonna go. I have to run your errand. Stay here.
I'm going to continuously pause this because it is going to be a copyright issue if I don't. So I'm just gonna every few seconds put a pause in. I mean, St. Anthony Padua was saying stop, but I mean, this is a Novus Ordo parish. You don't even think it's real what goes on there every time. St. Anthony of Padua. Yeah, they're saying don't actually show it.
I get not actually showing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
I
say
get
the male actor in that scene was born and raised Catholic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to show it. All right. It was they break into a church and then they go and they treat the host like it's a cracker. They dip it in jelly and
It's
it's
consecrated host.
Yeah, they were. He took them out of the. He
Out of the
he took
tabernacle.
them out of out of the tabernacle. So like, it's just mind boggling to me how Jewish writers, Jewish directors, like they have no issue with just desecrating Catholicism like this.
Yeah,
And
they don't
they
do it to
think-
anybody else.
Nobody else. Like nobody else. It's just.
And we'll just sit and
Yeah.
take it. Like they will keep
Oh God.
they'll keep doing that as long as we keep sitting and taking it. Like you can't let them get away with this kind of stuff.
I don't
And
know what
there's-
the proper response is. Like, okay, so I remember during Everything Everywhere All at Once, there was kind of a scene that it looked something like but it was nothing like this. It wasn't in a Catholic church. It just kind of like hinted at like the way she took the piece of bread could have been. And like, I remember LifeSite going crazy over like, this is blasphemy. And there's nothing like what we were just about to watch, which I'm glad I turned off. But it's just, it actually just proves Catholicism, to be honest with you.
No, it does, because they don't attack, the Eastern Orthodox ever. They don't attack Protestants ever, because they just know they're not the main character. They're irrelevant at the end of the day, and they only attack truth because they hate truth. That's really what it is at the end of the day.
Did you ever see the debate on Gavin McInnes's channel where he was on the same side as a Jewish guy? They were debating Zionism or something.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah.
Dude, it's such a good clip because Gavin was defending Israel in this debate, and there was a guy who asks the Jewish guy, he goes, I think his name was Adam King, was the Jewish guy. He goes, okay, like they were talking about Islam and what Islam is doing. They were talking about Gaza and all the craziness in the Middle East. And the guy goes, Adam, let me ask you this. If you could get rid of any religion in the world, or if you could get rid of Islam or Catholicism, what would you get rid of? He goes, oh, Catholicism, without a doubt.
Of course.
Like without hesitation.
Always. It's always, we're always on their mind at the end of the day.
Without hesitation. You see the Dave Portnoy clip, right? You saw that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
Him
crazy.
Freaking out.
Absolutely spurging out. It was ridiculous.
Because a guy said that you should be able to make Jewish jokes, and he lost his mind. He's people that make Jewish jokes should be in prison. Something like that.
He makes jokes about everybody. I mean, like he is a man child. That is the definition of a man child. If there was one man on this planet I wouldn't want my kid to be like, it would be Dave Portnoy. Any vice that is available in the world, Dave Portnoy enjoys. I mean, he is just a disgusting human being.
A degenerate gambler. He exploits women regularly.
Mhm.
He's just a complete degenerate. But
For
I mean,
weed, it's just the worst. Yeah.
That kind of is their religion, So like the reason they hate Catholicism is because Catholicism has put a moral structure into the world, and we claim, not just claim, like we received the covenant from God and they got cut out. So it's like, yes, they're quite a bit upset about that. All right. So the other thing we could do is I have these crazy clips of N.T. Wright, which are really interesting because N.T. Wright is a Protestant scholar who was I know like guys like Scott Hahn and them would go to N.T. Wright conferences and they would talk about how N.T. Wright was this brilliant Protestant scholar, and he's got this thing called the New Perspective on Paul, where I mean N.T. Wright really did get into how Paul, when he was talking about works, he was not talking about works. He was talking about works of the law and not works of charity and things like that. So like he was introducing that to the Protestant conversation. And there was a really interesting moment where he was talking to James White, and he's explaining to James White how when Paul is talking about what he's telling James White, he's like, no, you are thinking in a Protestant Reformation mindset. So in your mind, you think Paul is actually condemning Catholicism, but what he's really talking about is works of the law. And he talks about the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that. And James White goes, you are just completely going off the rails, and this is not anything that any of the Protestant reformers would ever have said. And N.T. Wright goes, it's funny to me that you are appealing to authority and tradition right now. It was one of those moments where I was just like, holy cow, that is so good. Like James White appealed to authority and tradition, but his authority and tradition only went back to the Reformation itself. But he's Protestia has done N.T. Wright week this week.
Oh boy.
He keeps pulling all these wacky things that N.T. Wright has said. And this one's nuts. He's talking about a trans person. So let me bring this one up. This one's kind of wild. And I'm interested to see
it would feel very weird to me. I'm about as male as you can get. I love hockey.
Okay, so this is a person who transitioned very long time. Oh, wait, let me bring it back to the beginning to make sense.
Living as you are right now doesn't mean you're living in sin.
I am a transgender man, female transition to male, and a lover of Christ. I came out when I was very young and transitioned early on in my life. All that to say, I am fully transitioned. There's not much left that distinguishes me from your average born male. I came to Christ after having gone through all the hormone surgery and living as a man for 10 years. Often when I hear people who were transgender then became a Christian, it's a story of them detransitioning to be their natural born gender. It seems these people are almost always at the beginning steps of their transition and can easily, so to speak, revert back. So my question is, what would the Bible have to say about someone in my case? I feel that if I was following God when I was younger, I probably would have tried my best to suppress the feelings that I was born in the wrong body and seek counseling. I have no desire to detransition. In fact, it would feel very weird to me. I'm about as male as you can get. I love hockey, trucks, I lift weights, and I'm going to serve in the military. Those things don't necessarily make you a man, but I hope it helps you paint a picture. I feel like from this point, all I can do is serve God as the person I am now with all my heart, soul, and mind, however. I can't always wonder in the back of my mind if I am sinning every day by continuing to live my life the way I am. I also often wonder if I am allowed to get married. I dream of finding a wife and starting a family rooted in faith, but I fear that I would be sinning for that. If I married a woman, would that be seen as a same-sex relationship since I am biologically female? Any advice and comments would be lovely, thanks. P.S.
Before we get into his response, obviously the marriage and family stuff is completely out of the question.
No.
But a person, here's the issue that this person's not like, to continue as a male, you need to continue testosterone therapy.
Yep.
Like if you cease testosterone therapy, you will revert to your.
You have no natural. I mean, if you're a woman, you have no natural. You have a little bit of natural testosterone production, but as a normal woman, but the amount they have to take the exogenous testosterone, they will not continue to be a woman. They will lose that. They'll lose their facial hair. They'll start. They won't like
Estrogen will just
back.
start getting produced, and they'll just revert to their feminine qualities.
Usually it does end up harming your estrogen production also. So you just kind of end up in this weird androgenic, it's not a third category, but you just become dysgenic at the end of the day.
Dysgenic, yeah, that's a good word for it. Like androgynous, where it's like the thing is, like, I know I hate using the phrase, but like gender has always been on a spectrum in its presentation, right? There's always been like butch chicks, like we call them tomboys. There's always been like the effeminate boys and the butch chicks, but like it didn't make the person the opposite sex. Now, so now this person, if they, I mean, it's similar to when I see, I'm gonna bring this back to Nala again, because like for somebody to have a genuine conversion, like you would think certain things would happen if they really do have an encounter with Christ. And like if the thing with Nala is her proclivity towards a certain vice was always attention. Right. So like she got that attention through taking her clothes off and stuff, but what she just changed that to still be provocative. She keeps her clothes on, but she's still seeking these. So like the main sin she was struggling with, she's not doing anything to try and fix. Like
it's all about attention for her. It's like even like I mean, that video where she makes the cinnamon buns, like that is literally, that's softcore pornography.
Yes,
like that's what that is. And
for sure.
You'll notice, like, I remember she took a picture when she did that interview with Michael Knowles, and in that picture she's posing so her rear end is sticking out. Like everything she does, the way her makeup is done, the faces she makes, like the expressions, it's all catered towards attention. And if someone's truly repentant, sometimes it doesn't all come, right away, but we would be seeing signs of her, becoming more humble, because God would be working on that. Just exclusive to Nala. I mean, there's people all over.
No, but I want to give credit where credit's due, because Bree Solsdad got off Twitter.
Yeah, I respect her.
She's almost a month off, and I have incredible respect for her for that, because I would have had some of similar criticisms for her with the attention seeking. Now, it wasn't the same as Nala. Nala was a different thing, but I have a lot of respect for Bree for getting off, because it shows a deepening conversion, right? So like, yeah, like when you first convert, it's like, oh, I gave up my old life and I'm just not going to do that thing anymore. But like the deeper you go into prayer, the more you see your sin, and you're like, okay, I got to cut this out. I got to cut this out. I got to work on this. I got to work. So like, it kind of shows the fruit of an interior life if someone like that gets off the internet. So I do want to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But to get back to this person, so that's kind of interesting, because let's see where NT Wright goes with this. Because he kind of says the same thing, but then he goes off the rails a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here watching it thinking it's
fine. I was just mewing into the camera, so we're good.
All right, so wait. Everybody's like dead air. I'm like, oh gosh.
Average episode with me on it.
Yeah, this is what happens when Rob's not here, because I'm hearing it in my ear.
Having the way that we've had it presented now, somebody born female transitioning to become male, I don't understand. I'm not a scientist. I don't understand the biology of how that works. I don't know what exactly it is that the hormone therapy does, though I'm assured by people who do know about that the hormone therapy has to be continued. Otherwise, the body may revert to what its chromosomes are telling it is. I don't know how true that is, how much that is so. So all sorts of questions then about marriage. I do not know what would happen in such a marriage or how that would work. Again, the local pastoral advice would be absolutely vital. I think, though, with many situations, and I have counseled people in all sorts of situations where their life has become very muddled and confused, and different relationships and different things that they never meant to get into, but here they are now. And again, I want to say, as with Jesus in the Gospels, God meets us where we are and loves us as we are. That's absolutely vital. God doesn't say, well, I can't have anything to do with you because of X, Y, and Z that's happened in the background. God doesn't say, well, of course, I'll look after you, but you're going to have to do A, B, and C from now on. That's not how grace works. Grace enfolds us in the love of God. Then when we are enfolded and know that God is with us, then God may want to say to us, perhaps through a wise pastor, through our own voice of conscience or in prayer or whatever, now, there are certain ways forward that you now need to travel. And that's not to say, oh, you're wicked, oh, you're a sinner, or you shouldn't be doing this, that, or the other.
All right, do you have any issues with what he said so far? Because this is actually a good point. Like, this is such boomer talk.
I mean, it's typical Protestant talk, and it does sound like Bishop Barron. It does sound like Bishop Barron.
It's boomer talk, dude. I'm going to dance around this topic so delicately that
we have to be so nice.
I'm not
so nice to everybody.
Anyone.
Voice of reason.
It's to say, well, where we are now is quite complicated, and let's see how we can move forward step by step, knowing that the God of grace and love is with you. And the fact that we say the God of grace and love is with you doesn't mean, therefore, everything that anyone might do before this moment of crisis is all right and perfectly okay. This is not an anything goes question. But then whenever we talk about grace, you always meet that. If it's by grace, does that mean it doesn't matter what I do? Yes, it does matter. God wants you to be a genuine, fully flourishing human being. No doubt, all of us, as Mike said in his intro, all of us have muddled bits in our psyche, perhaps muddled bits in our bodies. And again, God doesn't say, I can't do anything with you because you're in such a muddle or a mess. God says, let me come and work within that. Let my spirit breathe new life into the person that you now are, and go on breathing that new life and direct you in the way.
Can't anybody just say, no, you got to stop taking the stupid hormone drugs?
Yeah.
Like, just say,
no, like that's all you got to say.
Yeah, just stop taking the hormone drugs. Like, no, God's going to meet you where you are. He doesn't expect anything of you. You don't have to do anything.
He's English. He's got to be nice. No, it's transgenderism is the physical manifestation of pride. So, like, at the end of the day, they have their identity is their God. Even if they say they are, Christian or whatever, if you're truly a child of God, God is the center of your life, not your identity. And you will conform your identity to the worship of God.
Well, that kind of goes to even when Francis was allowing the divorced and remarried under certain circumstances to go and receive communion. And it's like, if somebody is divorced and remarried and finds themselves in a situation where they can't get an annulment, but they had children already, like, are you first off, the people that are looking for that loophole don't even care if they get it. They're just going to go up and receive. And the people who are genuinely looking to follow what God wants are going to they'll abstain from the Eucharist for that, or they will live as brother and sister and cut that out of the, like, they'll cut the sexual relationship out. Like, there's no, like, giving people a loophole like that. I don't understand the point of it. Like, it's like no priest has ever denied communion to somebody in that situation anyway. They're all this guy. Like, they're all this guy. They're all afraid to actually tell somebody the truth. So I don't understand the point of that. It's a similar thing. All right, so the last clip we'll play, he is, and I'll add it to the screen this time. This is him talking about Genesis and the earth. It's so crazy. All of these guys have the same theology. It's like, Genesis is just poetry.
How am I supposed to read Genesis if it's not a scientific description of how the world came to be? What is it I am reading?
There are several layers, and we loosely refer to it as poetry. And of course, it isn't poetry in the sense that it isn't composed in the same way as, say, the Psalms are. It doesn't have that kind of verse structure, but it's poetic in the sense that, as only poetry can, it's saying 3 or 4 or 5 things at the same time. And my friend and colleague, actually, most British Christians, and I think most Christians around the world, don't get hung up on the 6 periods of 24 hours in the way that some Americans still feel they have to. And it's a shame. It's because that major event happened in American culture, the Scopes trial in, was it 1929, something like that? It was somewhere around there, which, you know, nobody else could have had that. That was a post-Civil War, Northern liberals versus Southern conservatives flexing their theological muscles. And everyone wanted to know what was going to happen about this, because it was sort of, are we going to be in the modern world or the ancient world, with all sorts of overtones? That was a very America-specific thing. And I never tire of saying this, because these questions regularly come from America, and people often don't realize how peculiar that context is. That needs demystifying.
Yes, the cultural context in the beginning. You also believe in millions of years of evolution. What we see in the fossil record is millions of years of blood.
I don't know. I'm just so sick of their whole era. I'm just so tired of that whole generation. I cannot wait for it to be over and done with. And I don't wish death upon anybody or anything, but it's like, just go silently into that night, guys, and just let us do our thing.
There's part of me that like will miss the boomers when they're gone, in part because they are like a bulwark against like actual communism. But there's another part of me that's just like, you know, let's just let it happen. Accelerationism is the way. Like the Zoomers, they're like, we're like 25% gay and then like 50% homophobic. So we just gotta get through it.
Are you a convert or a cradle?
Convert.
You're a convert. Where'd you come from?
I was Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist. So you were a fundamentalist on that issue to begin with, right?
I mean, I didn't really like. I was, but like we didn't really talk about it too much. Like it was like young Earth creationism was just what you were, pretty much, and that we didn't talk about Genesis too much. We were too focused on, you know, chilling in Acts.
Paul.
Only Paul. That's it.
Paul.
But not anything interesting in Paul. You know. Yeah. No. I come from like the most typical evangelical, like once saved, always saved. It's just. It was the worst.
So wait, did you always have faith, and then like, or did you just kind of like go through the motions of it because your parents made you?
I mean, so I had like a conversion when I was 11, but I never got baptized until I converted. So
you became Catholic. When did you? How many years ago was that?
Like 2. So like,
you're a baby.
I'm a little baby Catholic, but like I was in the RCIA. I had to stay an extra year in RCIA, because my priest was like, "Oh, you weren't baptized, so we'll make sure you're catechized." So I'm pretty well versed in the issues. I actually had a good priest, which is rare these days.
And did you come in right into Novus Ordoism, or did you go right to the Latin Mass? Like, what did you?
So I was always curious about the Latin Mass, but I had like a decent Novus Ordo from a priest that was like basically forced to say it by TC. So he said it like as reverent as you can say the Novus Ordo, which is just, you know, not as much. But then kind of quickly, he passed away, and quickly after that, like I was TLM, 100%. I did get held back. Extra year in RCIA.
Funny story. My wife went through RCIA. And I had like a blowout with the instructors.
I did too.
Yeah, I had just like reverted and come back, and this woman, always a woman, was teaching my wife's RCIA class, and she starts saying, "Well, the priesthood was like invented hundreds of years later," you know, and like start saying crazy stuff. This was right at the time when Benedict had changed the words in, like, I had never been to a Latin Mass at this point, but it was Benedict had just changed the words in the Mass to go from like, and also with you to, and with your spirit. The words of consecration used to say, the sacrifice given for you and for all, and he changed it to you and for many, like all these different changes. And she was furious that Benedict had made these changes. Now the priest was a good he was a good pastor of the parish. I wound up like having a deep conversation with him, and he gave me he gave me the Spirit of the Liturgy, his copy of the Spirit of the Liturgy from Pope Benedict. And that was like my first introduction to Ratzinger, you know. It was like a very interesting time. But yeah, RCIA programs are a total disaster and a mess.
I had a blowout in mine. So I was taught, we had a primary instructor who was like a actual Thomist, like not like one of these Twitter Thomists like nowadays. He was like an actual Thomist before it was cool. And he was a great instructor. But the parish also assigned a married deacon to oversee, and man, he was the worst. They got into like a nuclear war over the death penalty, and I was obviously, you know, pro let's hang him in the public square kind of guy, but like it was absolute mess.
My younger brother got married outside of a Catholic church by a Catholic priest on the beach. And it wasn't until years later that he found out his marriage wasn't a sacramental marriage. And he had to like convalidate his marriage and all this stuff. And it was a Catholic priest who did it. Like there are so many wacky, nutty priests and stuff out there now that it's like you have to really be on your guard.
You gotta watch. Yeah.
He might not have even been validly baptized, that priest. You never know. So I think we should go to the other side. We'll go over to locals and we'll talk e-girls, because I know that's your forte. That's my right up your alley. And I'm interested to see. I got a bunch of questions I could ask you. So we're going to go over to locals. We're going to have a fun conversation over there. Rob will be back on Tuesday. Joshua Charles is coming on soon. I think next Thursday. I think that's what he said. Or not. No, maybe it's not this next Tuesday, the following Tuesday. Then there's also somebody reached out to me. They wrote a book on Malachi Martin. I'm going to try and read his book and then maybe do that interview with him. We're going to try and do some different stuff. I got to find some books to read because I like not talking about the Pope. Like,
oh yeah.
It's nice to not be like mad about what's happening in Rome right now. Like it's kind of just nothing happening there. It's like nothing.
Yeah, it's great. It's just it's like the medieval mindset, you know, like Pope's doing stuff.
It's just great. Nothing. Like it's kind of funny because we'll do it on the other side. I have some opinions, but I'll say them on the other side because people want me to hold my powder on Leo. But all right, guys, we are heading over to the other side. If you are not a locals member, please go and subscribe. Rob usually has a little ticker that he puts up on the bottom of the screen right now to show you guys how to get to locals. I don't know how to actually do that. Wait, Taffy's got a super chat before we go. If you could get all but one e-girl off the internet, who is the one that gets to stay? We are going to answer that question on the other side. If you guys want to know the answer to which e-girl, Taffy, I'm going to play your War on Beauty clips on the other side.
Let's go.
We're going to go through Taffy's War on Beauty clips on the other side too. We're going to talk all things e-girls on the other side. Catholic e-girls specifically. So if you guys want to come over, join us over there. We will see you guys on Tuesday. I'm cutting off the feed to Facebook and I'm cutting off the feed to YouTube. We never had it up on X. The X feed got scrambled.